Alright, so you want to create a bootable image so that way you can install a new operating system. So we're going to show you a couple ways of doing it in this video. Initially, if you're a Linux user, it doesn't matter what distro you're using, if it's a Kali, if it's Parrot, if it's Tails, if it's Ubuntu, whatever, you've actually got an easier way of doing it, so you won't have to go through this very first part of the video. But today we are going to be using a Linux distro, but first of all I'll show you how to do it if you're on a Windows thing. What you want to do is download yourself a program called Rufus or Ventoy. Now Rufus is going to make yourself a bootable USB, so you get yourself a USB flash drive, and then you're going to be able to put your operating system on the flash drive. But it is only when you use Rufus, it's only for that USB. When you use Ventoy, if you've got a big USB where you can actually see, if you don't want to waste the space you've got on it, just for one operating system, Ventoy, you can actually put a few different operating systems on it. Okay, and then you can either use that drive as your boot drive to actually boot from, have your operating system on here, or you can use this as the installation to actually install it to a different USB drive, or to install it to the actual hard drive or SSD drive, your main one. The other thing you've got with the USBs, you have got the options. I mean, some operating systems, once they're on USB, they might not be one you can actually boot into. They may only just be an install. But I mean, most of them you're okay, you can choose. Okay, so they're the programs you want. So for instance, Rufus, we'll load up Rufus. I'll show you what it looks like. You can also use a program called Balena Etcher. Okay. Right, so that's your program there. Okay, so you'd be picking your drive, whatever USB drive you got in here. Now, if you're actually going to be making a bootable drive and it's for a computer where you've actually set it up as AHCI, you'll want this as a GPT, if you've got a GPT system. But if you've got MBR, Legacy, ATA, you'll want this as MBR when you go into these settings, okay? So you'll see there, and then there's your ISO image. So in here you'll go select, and then you'll bring up the file of your ISO wherever you've got it on your computer, and put it in here, and then that'll burn that to your USB drive. And with Ventoy, the same process when you first make it, but after that, when you've made the Ventoy disk, you can actually take operating systems off and install different ones on just by copy and pasting. But Rufus is sort of a one-time thing, just with one operating system. Right. Now today's example, we're actually going to install Battlesera as an operating system. There's two ways you can do it. If you've made your bootable disk here, if you've actually got because it's SSD, and if you've got a 3.0 socket, you could actually just keep this as the operating system. So you could plug that in, boot your operating system from this, and then you could use your main hard drive in your computer, and you could have that as a storage device instead, where you've actually stored your games. But you would have to take this drive out, plug it to your computer. I'd suggest reformatting it, and set it up with a drive letter, so that way your drive, put a drive letter F on it or something. So then that way and it'll be a USB storage device, and this here will be your boot device. But other than that, you can do the install where you put your thing in, and then you can actually install it to the hard drive. So there's two ways of doing that. But today, what we're going to do, we're just going to pretend that there is a Linux. So what I'll do, we'll boot into a Linux operating system. As I said, it doesn't matter which one you're in. They can all do an image file for you. It's another way of creating a bootable USB. So I just showed you on with Windows how you do it with your Rufus or Ventoy. But if you're actually on a Linux distro, or you've got a Linux operating system, you've got an easier way of actually making yourself a bootable disk, or repairing a disk drive. This computer is actually blank, so there's nothing in here. We're going to turn this into the game machine with Battlesera as the operating system, but I actually want the whole operating system in here. Okay, and then we're going to have the option later where we'll have like your Windows or Linux actually on a USB, so you can still use this as a normal computer. Now we'll get into this. Now, if you don't know already, of course, when you first boot up, you have to go into your BIOS, okay, and you just have to change a couple of settings just to make sure your computer will boot from a USB drive. So we're just going to go into setup. Setup might be different for yours. You know, you're either in F2, F12, or escape. F1. I mean, F12 is normally boot, but anyway, where are we going to go? See boot options. Okay, so as I said, it depends on your drive here. I mean, this one we're actually going to set up as legacy. And that there is actually, if you set it up as EFI, it's still going to boot a legacy drive if you haven't, you know. But that's all right. That's why I've got that enabled, just in case I had an EFI plug it into it. It will still boot a legacy as well. So you can do that if you want to. Right, system configuration. Right, your SATA. Of course, there, because I'm doing legacy, I've got it on ATA. If you're doing GPT, put on AHCI. Next one, where are we? Now we're going to enable, as I say, all BIOS is different depending on the operating system. This is different compared to other videos I've done. So this one here, enable boot support, enable external USB port. That's so we can boot from the USB. It may be worded different, and some computers you've actually got to shift your boot operator things up and down depending on what they are. Like for instance, where are we? See boot sequence. See, like on this one, it's set up like this. So on legacy, we're going to be having it. See, change it to USB storage. So how you do that, you just highlight which one. So we want USB storage. I mean, initially on yours, when you first boot, it won't be there. That's probably going to be second or third on the list, but we want that to be first. And so that way we can boot from a USB drive that we just made to boot from, to be able to install the operating system or to run directly from it. Either way. And like I said, this is going to do both. This is going to be the Buttercera inside it, and then we're going to make an actual operating system you plug in. So that way, you ever want an operating system, you just plug it in, it'll auto load because we've told it there. Okay, pretty straightforward. And of course, if a USB is not plugged in, it'll boot from the internal drive, which the internal drive on this demonstration is going to have Buttercera in it. Okay, advanced options and that. Where are we? Now, secure boot, I have that disabled. Of course, if you are on a computer with these sort of things, you do want to, you know, activate your multi-core, activate your virtual as well. Where are we? There'll be a different one for virtual manager somewhere. Right, so we want all cores activated. Right, virtualization support. And that's really only if you're going to be, you know, inside your computer, if you're going to make virtual computers within it. So of course that one there, I haven't enabled it, but this computer we're not actually going to put virtual ones in it. We're going to make each one a separate one. Alright, so now we're just going to do a reboot because you told it to load from the USB. Now the other thing you come into, if you haven't made your USB an MBR and it's a GPT, it's not going to load. Vice versa if your things are in the other way. We'll just wait and see. So you see the invalid partition table. So it's the wrong one I've got plugged in here. And another thing you might get if you've made a boot disk, if you've got it on the wrong thing, on, like I say, if it's GPT and you've got an MBR system, and you've got the wrong ones for AHCI or ATA, whatever one you're doing, legacy or UEFI. So you got to make sure you've got the right boot sequence for anything to load, or you get these sort of errors. So if you get that, that's what it is. Okay, so I'm just going to change over. Alright, so I just went back into the BIOS and changed the boot to UEFI. And I've got it on AHCI, and that was just to boot this USB because this USB was made for that. But the thing is, we've got it set up in the BIOS. Remember I showed you we've got the secure boot turned off, so that way it can still load legacy, because we're going to be installing Buttercera as the operating system. We're actually going to set that up as a legacy boot. So this way we've got the option, we can still boot from something that's on an UEFI, but at the same time we can still run our legacy. So here we're just going to load up a Linux distro. It can be any of them. You can do Ubuntu, you can do Kali, you can do Tails, Parrot, whichever ones you got in here. This one here, I'm just going to do Ubuntu quickly. But as I say, any Linux operating system gives you this option to make your disk. Oops, where are we? So we just want to try Ubuntu. You don't want to install it. The same with, but if you, as I say, if you already got a Linux distro as an operating system and you're just trying to make yourself a bootable disk, well, you're fine. You're just going to boot your computer up, and I'm going to show you how in a second. I'm just going to quickly try Ubuntu. As I say, if you already got a Linux distro, it's not going to matter. You already booted into your operating system. Alright, so it's booted up. So what we want to do here, just go down to your dots down the bottom there. Click on that. And of course, with links, you only have to do the single click. It's not a double click thing. Now here, what we want to do is type in disks. Alright, so disk. Alright, you'll see there, disk come up. Okay, so we just want to click on that. What it's going to do is going to bring up our formatted drive that we've got in here that's empty, that's inside the actual laptop. It's also going to bring up the drive that we just booted from, that we booted this operating system on. But we're actually going to plug in another drive which has the operating system. So if you've got a copy of your operating system on your hard drive, that's the next step. We end up plugging it into there. Oops, why is it gone blurry? There we go. So of course that's what we're going to have come up. I'll just enlarge this. Alright. So of course for you, if you're already on a Linux distro, this one here is going to be operating system, your big main drive. And of course this one's empty. As I say, this has got nothing in it. But of course, if you're just making a USB bootable disk and you're already on Linux, just go over here to your three dots at the top. Alright, click on that and then go down to restore disk image. And then you're going to tell it to restore it to here. Okay, well, actually not to here. If you're already on your own operating system, don't do that. You want to actually install it to, you'll be selecting, so of course, if you're already on your own Linux operating system, that'll be your main drive. You don't want to touch it. You'll be coming down to your USB that you're going to create and make a bootable drive. If it's not empty, go down here to your bottom here, see that minus, and that'll blank the whole USB. And then up here you go up to restore disk image, and then restore disk image to that drive. And now you've just got yourself a bootable USB. So at the start of this video, I showed you how to quickly do it on Windows. Well, here's how you can do it on Linux. As I say, any Linux operating system, it might not be all of them, but most of the ones I've used, it all has this option here. But for us today, we're actually going to be, as I say, we're going to be installing Bootable to the main drive. So we're going to click up here. Now, I do want to plug in my drive that has an operating system in it we're going to use. Actually, might even use this drive here. Alright, so it's plugged in the USB, so that's the disk image we're going to use. Alright, so we'll just go to here. Alright, so we're going to go up to the three dots at the top, get down to restore disk image, and image to restore. That's where we're going to pick which one. And we're going to use this one. Open that up. That's fine. And then we're going to go start restoring. Alright. Are you sure you want to write the disk to it? And you'll see there it's showing us the 500 GB. As I say, you don't want that if you're actually just someone already with a Linux operating system and you're just making a bootable USB. Make sure that is your USB before you go ahead with this. Alright, we're going to restore the image. So now it's just working on it, and it's going to put Bootable now on this big main hard drive. Okay. But as I say, this can be any operating system. It's just in this demonstration I'm using Bootable as an operating system. But we could be installing Ubuntu, or even though we're using Ubuntu right now, but yeah, we could be putting anything, Parrot or Windows, or any operating system. You can do it in this form. So the very first part of the video was how to install any operating system on a boot disk in your Windows, and on this part of the video you're actually learning how to do it in your Linux, which, you know, it's actually a much easier process. So we just go away now, that does its thing. Once that finishes, we'll be doing a reboot, and then it will do its initial setup. Alright, so you see there, now the process is done. You see there's bootable installed down there at the bottom, and that'll be the same with any other operating system that you want to install, whether it be to your hard drive or your USB. So what we're going to do now is shut this off, and then we're going to say turn off. So we just close that down, close your window down. Alright, close that one down. Now remember, the USB, like, we installed it from this one. Okay, so that's what we're going to eject when it tells us to. So what we're going to do here is go down to shut off, power off. We won't go restart, we'll actually say power off. So we can do it straight away, or we can let it do it itself. It'll do it itself in 60 seconds. Oh. So what we're going to do is actually just go power off, so we're not mucking around waiting. It's going to tell you to remove your installation media. Don't remove the other one. So what you want to do is just remove this one. Okay, the one that we actually installed it to. Installed it off of, I should say, sorry. And then press enter. Okay. And now she's all turned off. Now we take out the installation. And now we turn the system back on. And it should boot from whatever operating system you put in. Especially if, you know, because we've had it so it'll boot from EFI or from Legacy. Alright, so you see there at the top it's saying booting bootable. If you've got Windows, it'll be coming up with Windows. Just here it's just setting up the drive. This is normal, just let it do its thing. And of course, as I say, if this is any other operating system, a Linux, Microsoft, Windows, whatever you're using right now, you're booting in. You've now just getting yourself a new operating system. So I've just shown you all ways of doing it, and the Linux way is simplified. So if you do have a Linux operating system, you've just seen how much easier that was to create a disk, rather than if you're on Windows you've got to download Rufus, and then you've got to download Ventoy or Balena Etcher and make your operating system. So there we have it, people. Now if you are actually wanting to know a bit more about bootable and you wanting to know how to set things up, I will do future videos. There are some there from a long time ago, a couple of years ago. If you look through my things there, you will see there are some videos on it. So anyway, leave a like, subscribe. As I say, if you're wanting some more videos actually on bootable, how to set it up, let us know on the thing down below. Or if there's anything you didn't quite understand about this video, but I'm pretty sure we've covered everything if you're on Windows or Linux. Just the easy way of setting yourself up an operating system. And a way of, once you've put it on a USB drive, how you can then install it. You know, or you can have it from just an actual ISO file on your hard drive, and like that's what we've done here. We've just installed it from the image file, and now we've got the operating system. So leave a like, subscribe if you want some more handy hints and tips. There's lots on the channel, check it out.